Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the only show in esports that starts out with bears. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and also hope you enjoyed our final series, or our last series, which is not our final series. This is what is coming up. It's going to be another player which we exiled for a little bit. You're about to get a picture of the winner of that last series here in a second. 3, 2, 1. Hey!
You could tell because of the profile of his face. He won. GG.
All right. Sorry, I thought he was coming up here. But instead, we're going to get into our next series.
I didn't kidnap him.
No.
I should have
We're
run
actually
down
doing
there.
a bad job without that.
Yeah.
We have a 3-week vacation after this, Valdez. We got to get at least
We got to
one
work
player.
on our kidnapping skills, Reed.
Yeah. Turns out if you don't combo the kidnapper, it doesn't return one of your opponent's minions back to his hands. So
wow, that's a dank meme.
we gotta work on that.
You you had to dig really deep for that one.
Down into it, I pulled it out.
Down into
Doing the best
coal
I can,
mine
guys.
for that one.
All right, here we go again. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, Jockey. He went that way.
That's Jockey's manager. I think he might be just getting something left back in the booth. But, yeah, he left. All right, here we go again. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, there we go.
Back
All
on
right.
the camera he goes.
So now we can actually have a show again, Valdez.
Actually, that was the most exciting part of the show. What do you mean, Reed?
There's nobody that can possibly walk in front of our camera. I think we might be good.
We're technically always walking in front of the camera.
Well, that's true. But
We're
that's our
sitting
job.
in front of the
Literally
camera.
our job, Valdez. We get to hang out here. All
True.
right, so our final match of the night is coming up. If you thought there was meme potential for our previous series, and there definitely was, we get a chance to watch the hopes and dreams of every Zest fangirl out there. Everyone who's ever made a pro Zest poster in their entire lives, there's probably a lot of those people. This guy was a legend and back in the day. Unfortunately, that day is no longer here. So all I got to say is that it's been a little bit of a struggle lately to be a Zest fan. Watching him play in Week 1 did not look good. And it didn't look not good in the same way that SOS's games looked not good. Zest just died a lot.
Something happened. You know, I was talking about this with you earlier on at the end of Pro League in the Pro League final match when he went up against Trap and he cannon rushed and he got destroyed.
Because he messed up the cannon rush?
That was the beginning of the end. That was when he just went from like on top to just totally going down. Because I assume at that time he must have known that the team was going to disband. Pro League was disbanding. So maybe he just said to himself, okay, I'm going to take a break. I'm just going to let off a bit. And unfortunately, that has followed him all the way to July in 2017, where he's going up against Hush, and I can't call him the favorite Rapid. I just can't.
You know, Hush has been actually looking pretty good. He won his series last week, so he's looking, he's on a roll of one victory, but he's going to be going up against Zest, and honestly, if Zest loses tonight's matches, you really just sort of have to, stop beating a dead horse at that time. I mean, Zest has faced a lot of trials and tribulations lately. He's been good enough to survive in the SSL, but he is only in Challenge because he was demoted from Premier. So he did qualify for Premier, but at what cost? It's still been a little bit of a rough time here for our Protoss player. He did win the foreign Gameland tournament against, I think it was Leenock in the finals, but coming back to face off against stiffer Korean competition has proven very difficult for a Protoss player.
Well, as you said before, this is almost Zest's proving ground. He has to come back in here and say, hey, I'm not a total, washed up former pro. I actually still am good.
It turns out there's no direct correlation between being able to do push-ups and winning games of StarCraft, although, I mean, there was for a while.
I was going to comment, I feel like he actually lost a bit of muscle. I mean, this is the muscle shirt. This should be showing off the muscle, but I feel like
you put
in some way
in that booth, he's going to be busting out, but
be ripping at the seams right down the middle, but not the case this time around. So, going into our maps, Odyssey, Ascension to Ire, and Abyssal Reef.
Yeah, I'd love to learn the exact methodology for why players pick which maps in which order, but this is the way that it will coalesce. It's my new favorite word, Valdez. Odyssey, Ascension to Ire, and Abyssal Reef.
Yeah.
Good word.
Odyssey was picked by both of those guys, so it goes up first. And then past that, it's like whoever had it higher placed on their list. It's not too complicated.
I'll figure it out.
You'll get it eventually, Rapid. You know,
I see the maps that are picked, and I'm like, oh, these are the maps. That's the level of my understanding, Valdez.
Yeah.
So we're going to get right into it. Whoa.
That was fast.
We got to get out of here. It's very late at night here.
I'm getting hungry.
So, yeah, about time to head on out. It's going to be Hush taking on Zest. Hush, a newcomer to this SSL challenge. He'll be facing off against one of the members of the Old Boys Club. It's Zest, who really needs to start pulling it back to show his fans that he still has what it takes to win games here in SSL.
Well, here we go. Going into Odyssey for game number 1. Down on the bottom right. Fly better flying, to use a Rapid term. Down into the bottom right. It is the red Protoss. It is Hush. In the blue tier.
Savior of the universe. Yeah, so we're going to get a PvP to finish things off. His Protoss opponent is Zest. Always looks super focused, super handsome, but has not looked very good when it comes to his playstyle. So we're going to see what's coming up. I would expect mostly mirrored builds out of each one of these guys. There are, I feel like, maybe more variety to your openings in PvP than maybe the other mirror matchups.
Yeah.
But should be pretty standard, although double gas here. Hush, need to tech up a little bit ahead of schedule.
Rapid, do you like oatmeal?
More of a cream of wheat guy myself.
Ooh. I haven't seen that here in Korea, but I did find oatmeal, and I recently, actually this morning, I tried a new recipe. I was trying to mix it up because standard oatmeal can get pretty boring, right? You put in your brown sugar, maybe a little bit of milk, and then you just eat it, and it tastes kind of like mushy sugar. But I tried to mix it up. I added peanut butter and bananas, and let me tell you, it was a bad mistake because I really struggled to eat that oatmeal.
I can see the logic there, but
I had to really force that down.
Yeah, my oatmeal days were mostly like pouch oatmeal. You get the fruit. You get the
the dried fruit.
Yeah, like the blueberry, the strawberry, the brown sugar one. Oh,
see,
so
just bananas would be fun.
Oh yeah,
but peanut butter.
Double down
when you mix it into the oatmeal, it makes it even more mushy, and that's where the problem starts.
This is all an elaborate ruse to describe Zest builds, isn't it?
Something like that.
He's got the mushy peanut butter.
It used to be clean, plain old oatmeal with his brown sugar and milk, just going at it. But then they added the bananas and peanut butter. Not really sure where we're going with this one.
All right, well, I think the most important thing to point out, because we have seen fairly mirrored builds, is that Hush is going to be the one to swap the techs up, and he's going to be going for the Robo that's about halfway done. Both players will know that the other player is one-basing it, and so this is not going to be a macro game. It's going to be both players try to fight off each other until this tech comes up. Hush will be at a little bit of a disadvantage because he did go for the Robo instead of just massing Stalkers. But I think inevitably that Robo will be what pays off. Is it scouted? No! I don't think he saw that.
I think the Robo's on the other side of the map, actually.
It's not scouting for the Robo. He's scouting to see if Zest has a Robo.
I see,
and he didn't scout the entire pylon-powered area.
Okay.
So there's still a potential that it's there.
Yeah.
So right now, Hush does not know if Zest is committing to this Robo or not. He also doesn't know if there's a Nexus on the way, right? I think that was thrown down after the probe died.
I think as he was coming up, the probe was coming down, so maybe
maybe he can infer that.
Yeah.
But I definitely don't think that Zest knows that Hush has a Robo at this point. So.
Yeah, you can see he's keeping his units in the main just in case there's any kind of oracles flying around. He's not 100% sure what he's facing here, so we'll see both of these Protoss players get their Nexi up in due time. A little bit faster for Hush. He also does have that faster Robo with the faster Immortal, so he is slightly ahead. Just his economy is behind. He hasn't been pumping those probes as fast as Zest has been.
Nope, but we are going to see our first semblances of a proxy. There's going to be a Dark Shrine. Now, the Robo already done on the other side of the map will at least mean that observers are possible. So it's not like he's going to be totally unprepared for this. But I think the bigger reason for this is that you're going to have your main fight. It'll either happen in the middle of the map or here at Zest's doorstep. And then you warp in the DTs behind and you go for the counter after that. Then you force your opponent to warp in units back at home to defend against the DTs, and you press out and crush out, or you press out, you push out.
You rock out with your warp prism out.
Yeah, it's exactly what Hush is doing right now, Valdez. You have completely accurately analyzed the situation. Couldn't have done it better myself.
Well, this is a lot of units. That's my analysis for this push. We'll see. He's going to focus down the 2 pylons that are overcharged, and oh boy, is Zest in trouble. Will have his ramp force fielded here, and not much left. Is also going to lose that mothership core, and really in a heap of trouble. Does have that Dark Shrine on the way, though. Do not forget about it.
There's a famous saying, Valdez, I don't know if you've ever heard it, associated with the building of the Dark Shrine, and it is that when you are behind, construct the Dark
When
Shrine.
you're in some deep
expletives,
bleep.
yeah. Some deep bleep, man. I like that.
When you're in some deep bleep, put up that Dark Shrine and hope that you can hold on. So looks like Hush is going to deal with this by just trying to kill as many probes as he possibly can by microing in and out of the Warp Prism. I really like this. Just 2 Dark Templar aren't going to be able to get there.
Out the DTs.
That's really cool.
Sorry, Zest. You have a unit that can't be killed, but it also can't do anything.
He's got detection back at home. He had a robo. GG. Hush takes game number 1.
I'm so confused. You know, people often make the argument, you know, like, which would you rather be? Would you rather be the immovable object or the unstoppable force?
Unstoppable force, for sure.
Yeah, because if you have the immovable object, right, it's just there. It's its thing. Like
it can't move.
Like the DTs trying to make it through.
It can't be moved, but also I would assume because it can't be moved, it can't move too. The unstoppable force, you can move it around. You can attack things that are not the immovable object.
Because then, if the unstoppable, wait,
how did we start talking about this? Right?
I was trying to illustrate the difference between both players being powerful. Even with the ultimate power that those DTs had, they couldn't do anything with it. So it doesn't matter if you have ultimate power if you can't do anything with it. Which was the difference between that. Hush had lots of power that he could do something with. So generally the more useful version of having all of that strength. So Zest, sorry, you tried. That's what it's going to say on the trophy we give Zest at the end of the season.
Pretty much.
Not a whole lot else because it's looking a little bit rough. So he did have that Dark Shrine out there, so he's kind of thinking a few steps ahead, but then he just died. And you could see kind of the look of, I don't know what it, pain on his face, starting to...
Dismay.
Dismay. Perfect word.
I got you cover rapid.
Good job. Good co-caster, guys. Yeah, you can see the look of dismay as soon as that Immortal rolled all up on him.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it did. And then it rolled over him.
A little bit of a drive-by there.
Zest became a facet to the Katamari Damacy ball that is Hush's
That's a good game.
Play.
That's a stress reliever when you're
I
just got home after a long day of work. I just want to roll stuff.
Yeah.
You roll over stuff. If you guys never played that game, definitely check it out.
It's
so different from other games, but it's also so satisfying.
It really is. You don't really need to have a whole lot of purpose. It's one of those great single player games. You just play it and you just feel good about yourself. I feel like, especially to a StarCraft.
Are there not a lot of those out there?
Well, no, I just feel like a lot of people nowadays play a lot of instance-based games that are very competitive, especially if you're a big fan of StarCraft, and you probably have a few competitive genes. But don't forget that I think one of the top posts on Reddit right now is a quote by Tasteless, kind of reminding people to give themselves a reality check about games now and just to actually have fun. It's a great game to actually just go have fun playing. Playing StarCraft's pretty fun unless you're Zest, and then it's an exercise in pain and futility.
If you're a Zest fan, you just got to get your Bible thumbs out in chat and kind of accept how far he's fallen because this is like new rock bottom, right?
Well,
we're an SSL challenge. He's about to be 0-2.
We're memeing a little bit here, guys. And
I'm not memeing at all, Rapid.
Okay, it's pretty bad. To be fair, though, Zest still, you put him up against any of the bottom 50 challenger players anywhere in the world, he's just going to win 90% of his games. Unfortunately, he's being pitted against players that have his number, players that probably watched him when he was in his era of dominance and wish that they could be there in that chair. Well, now They are. The tables have turned, the seats have swapped, the shoes are on the other foot, and Hush seems to be doing pretty well for himself. See if Zest has what it takes to turn it around, because this is where he's going to have to do it.
Let's turn this plane around.
There we go.
There we go.
I'll turn this plane around, kids. Here we go. Game number 2. Our red Protoss player, fly better flying to the upper left-hand corner. This is Hush. There we go. If they had randomly decided to introduce Zest first, I'd be screwed. But instead, it looks like I know what I'm doing. His blue opponent, it's Zest.
Zest. And we've been kind of messing with Zest a little bit, saying how far he's fallen and all that. But Hush is one of those guys back in the day on CJ that would come in against the high-level Protosses and take name after name, and everybody would be like, where's this guy when he matters, when he's going up against a Terran or a Zerg player? You know, he was a fantastic sniper against Protosses, and I think it was 2015, I'd have to say, because 2016 he didn't have nearly as much success, but definitely was one of the big PvP snipers, and you could see even the build that he brought out in game number 1 totally had Zest fooled. I mean, Hush could have fooled a top-level Protoss with that kind of build, so it's not all Zest, losing the game. It is also Hush playing quite a interesting and different PvP style that definitely Zest was not expecting.
Well, here we go. Another, scouting probe. I love to watch players that, probe scout or drone scout or SCV scout. I always think that's the best way to go. It depends on when you do it. Obviously, it's what building do you scout after. But this is going to give Hush all the information he needs. He should feel like he is a player that's capable of doing well in the head-to-head. And so he will scout out that, hey, there's an extra gateway up for Zest.
Look at the build from Hush. Haven't seen this in a while. A Twilight Council rush. Generally, you see 2-gate to start because you need units to just hold your base. Once 2-gate became standard, you needed 2-gate by yourself to deal with the scouting units, the adepts that come over, and stuff like that.
2-gate's the new 4-gate.
Yeah.
You just have to have it, otherwise you die.
And instead of that, he's making 2 extra gateways later, and maybe we'll have a little blink time in here.
A sneaky Hush build. The Hush falls over the crowd.
This is like something you would see in Heart of the Swarm or like Wings of Liberty even. This was like the counter to the 4-gate where you desperately try to hold on with your blink.
I can't describe how many games I saw held just barely, and then blink comes out and you just win because your stalkers are better.
It was an exciting time, Rapid.
It was, and I feel like a lot of people malign the 4-gate period of StarCraft 2. But for what it's worth, it did... oh, whoa! Sick block there. Can't get those shades in.
Wow! He blocked him.
He did.
He was really on point with that. I was scared he was going to miss the timing.
That was the Tim Duncan pylon. Can't get past it. But yeah, blink about halfway done, and the pressure has been non-existent. 2 adepts shading up your ramp does not count as pressure, guys, but it's really going to be about the follow-up. Proxy pylons warping in, and warp gate research about to finish. But it's going to finish for both players at vaguely the same time. And so like you said, Valdez, it is going to be all about this blink.
Yeah, here we go. Already some units pressuring at the front, getting that damage done to one of the stalkers. Mothership Core is ready here. Only 1 pylon at the front. Definitely will want to make an extra one to hold off this, but he's not 100%. Now that he sees no Nexus, maybe he can get some extra just knowledge about what the build is out of Hush. And he does get one of these stalkers too, which is a great start here for the defensive Zest.
Yeah, and here we go, pushing forward just a little bit more, but with Blink about to complete, that's what's really going to turn this upside down. Blink, it's the great unequalizer. You have equal amounts of stalkers, well, you just can't hit mine anymore. Sorry, that's pretty good strat to have. Even coming over with the Mothership Core here, it's going to use that.
It's going to blink in the main.
Yeah, blink into
here we go.
The main. Here we go. Full blink, catching the Immortal, popping that barrier shield immediately. He's going to try to focus that one down, but he needs to blink defensively. Ooh. Unfortunately, it's on cooldown after blinking in, so cost several stalkers to take out that Immortal, but it wasn't worth it, probably.
He mismicroed that one shot. He was trying to target down the Immortal. Ooh, misblink as well.
Ooh, that's not what we want to see there. We've been making that sound a lot here tonight, Valdez.
Yeah, that's been the theme so far, but this is really when it's going to get scary. No Immortal, and Blink is done for Hush. Sniping out Stalker after Stalker. Does wait and is very patient with that overcharge or Zest, but now we got a couple of these Adepts caught out in the middle of the map, too.
Oh, man, he's going to be able to take out those Adepts, which could have pressured that pylon. Instead, warp in another huge round of Stalkers. There's another Immortal on the way, but it's not even going to be out in time for this huge push.
I think he's got one more overcharge left.
I mean, even
and
that
almost a second one.
All
Gonna
right.
use the one.
So I think this is where he needs to blink over and try to go into the main. Instead, he's going to blink forward, snipes that Immortal. He'll lose a couple of Stalkers, but a great trade. Although losing that Mothership Core might have been a bit costly.
Yeah, loses the Mothership Core, gets the Time Warp down. And he's trying to snipe some of these Stalkers out. That final overcharge does come down. Another big warp in for Hush.
Now, Hush's blink is going to be on cooldown for a little bit there. Okay, just comes up as he needs to blink away. He's going to have another big warp in here. Gets that one cheeky Adept for just the shade scouting.
Yeah, it's actually really smart because he knows that Zest is going to be holding this point. He could also try to bait.
Oh, he's going to try to blink up. He shades,
that's really cool.
But
Except
he doesn't
he messed up the blink.
Oh my god. Okay, this is just really bad. He'll be able to blink out. I thought the cooldown on blink was just a few seconds longer.
He's sticking in this one.
He is. Not giving up without a fight, but now that there's two Immortals out, this blink timing is really just not going to be left for much longer.
Zest is making probes. He's like, okay, I'm fine.
Wow. Very confident. He does have a Zealot.
Ooh, I don't know about moving down the ramp like this, though. That might have been a big mistake. Can he snipe that Immortal? He's going for the second one. Blink is coming off cooldown. He really wants that second Immortal. So close, he gets it.
Wow, losing two Immortals, now trying to go in here and unpower the pylon. I mean, the Stalker's just way too low here for Hush, and he's going to lose every single one of them. Another warp in, maybe that's enough reinforcements. It looks like it is. Wow, Hush seems to have gotten the advantage, but here comes another Immortal for Zest.
Yeah, he gets that second Immortal out here. He needs to get those two weakened Stalkers. He's going to get one of them, but if he can snipe that pylon, the push ends, and Hush knows it. He has to fight. GG. Zest is going to take the win, and guys, we will have a full 12 games played tonight.
Oh my god, they really just want to get us to stay as late as possible. If I can check the time, we are at 12:35, so while we have had a lot of games, they have been pretty short. So, I don't know, we're getting our money's worth tonight. Maximum value. The games have been very varied. We've seen long macro games. Not in the last series. That was no macro games allowed.
Yeah.
I feel like this series, too, very few macro games will be had. Both players really just seeming to want to get out there and kill their opponent. But, I don't know, it looked a little bit rough there from Hush.
You can see he was committing heavily to sniping the Immortals, and it does make sense. You need to keep them below 2, or basically you don't have a chance.
Yeah.
There was just a couple of slight micro mistakes by Hush that, one time he misses his blink on top in the main base of Zest, another time he commits too hard for the Immortal, and Zest basically, he was just keeping everything together, trying to micro back those Immortals. So here we go, guys, jumping into game number 3, Abyssal Reef.
Oh, man, we got to work on our synergy there. How can we make each other sandwiches? We can't do that. All right, well, we are going to fly into our final game of the night, guys. Nothing else after this. It all comes down to one last PvP, and that is our Hush player, our red player in the Hush colors. His opponent.
That's our Hush puppy.
Yeah.
This is the pit bull down in the bottom right.
It does kind of look like that. But all right, we get a chance to see one more game between these guys, and it's a little bit more even than we expected, although I feel like Hush kind of lost himself that last game with some sloppy control. Zest, though, did have the right build to deal with it, getting that early Robo Immortal production on point. So can't really say too many bad things about that. And I want to see this be a longer, more Nexus-focused, base-building macro game, but I don't know if we'll be lucky enough to have that. Yep, here we go. More gateways on the way. Actually, only seeing the one here from Hush. He does like to get that second one a little bit later.
Yeah, kind of interesting there. The timing slightly late, but not going to matter all too much. You can see that Zest is mining a little bit less gas overall, just one less probe in the mining there, so Hush will get slightly ahead. Means that Zest probably isn't going to be making any kind of Stargate or anything like that. I would expect a very similar build out of him. Just, a faster expand. It is Abyssal Reef. Get that expand out. Get your Robo going with those Immortals and try to just get into a macro game. If there were a map to go into a macro game, this would be the one. For 2-player maps, at least.
Yeah, if this were something much larger, then maybe we get a higher chance for that. But I would be surprised if we see Hush go for that same strategy again. Probably looking more for, I would say, more robo-focused builds. That seems to be pretty common in Protoss versus Protoss. Not only does that allow you to get the Observers out in case you're running up against a DT rush, but you also get a Warp Prism, and that's just infinitely valuable. So. Would expect that, but we used to see this when we saw, was it Deer and Classic play a lot last season, where one player would go for 2 Adepts, the other player would go for 2 Stalkers. One player would have the ability to kill a lot more probes, the other player would have the map control with those Stalkers. And so now we're going to see the meeting of the minds out in the middle of the map, but it's Hush that tips his hand first with that gateway. Or not the gateway. The gateway that warps in air units, guys. I don't know.
It does have gate in the name.
That's
so
you
get a pass this
star
time.
part. Okay.
Yeah. Hush trying to become a star. And he loses one of his Adepts, unfortunately, as he runs into Zest Stalkers in the middle of the map. We'll run into the next 2, and Zest is going for 2 more. So wouldn't be surprised to see him go a little bit aggressive here, as it looks like there's, I think that's a probe on the left side. Not 100% sure what that is from Zest. But yeah, it is. Okay, it is going to be a probe. He's warping in a pylon now. So Zest trying to be the aggressor here against the Stargate of Hush.
I mean, Oracles don't do too well against Stalkers, guys, so I'm not sure what to think about this. Both players have a Nexus on the way, so if this does stalemate, then we could see a longer game, but it looks like Zest will be the one to put the pressure on. Overcharge is a good ability to have, but will it be good enough?
I'm not so sure. That Robo is going to be pretty late here, and okay, already 4 Stalkers coming in the front. The Mothership Core is there. He does have 2 pylons. It's going to be very key for holding this off.
Keep an eye on what we're going to see. It's just going to be a bunch of Stalkers. There's no blink or anything along those lines. It's just a ton of Stalkers. Void Ray now on the way. I don't even know if that's going to be good enough to defend, because for right now, it's all going to be about keeping the base defended from these Stalkers pushing in.
Really fast overcharge there by Zest. He loses not a single probe, which is quite nice. Hush is not going to be able to deny those Adepts going into the main, and now he's fighting without the overcharge. He really needs the overcharge or the Void Ray. Both of these Adepts, funnily enough, are going to get surrounded and taken out, so not getting as much damage as they potentially could have.
Yeah, a little bit rough control there on the Adepts. I actually like the Zealots here from Hush to try to hold this off, because you do have to run away from those as Stalkers. They buffer enough time for this Void Ray to come down, and there is still a pylon behind this. Void Ray does have to be careful, though. Blink is started, but it won't be done for a while. I think that might be what really seals the nail in this coffin, because these Oracles are just not getting anything done.
Yeah, I mean, he can hang around and deny some mining from the natural, at least. You could see that as Zest isn't even sending probes down there. And now with the Void Ray and an Immortal, he should be okay. Nice block with the Shade.
Shades block Shades, so nice way of securing that entrance. Look at the workers lost, or the units lost tab. You can see the Hush has lost a few more casualties of war up until this point. But everything for the most part pretty even. You look at the worker army supply, both right in parity with each other. And this time, a little bit of a reversal. Hush is the one building up these Immortals to defend, whereas Zest is the one going for the blink.
Yeah, so we might actually have our macro game.
Ooh.
Okay, goodbye, Mr. Oracle. Even with no blink, just getting a little bit too close to the sun. In this case, being about 10 Stalkers in the natural. So, yeah, a bunch of Immortals, and that Void Ray actually means that Hush might have found a timing where Zest is transitioning into a mid-game saying, hey, I can actually go attack him and maybe even put on the pressure, try to kill him here, at least get some good trades for my army. Doesn't look like he wants to take it, though, as he backs off back to his natural.
Wow, actually going to shade in and try to get a few extra probe kills. grab 2 before losing the Adept, so not necessarily worth it, but it does pull the rest of his army back home, so he's just going to be chilling here. Kind of minding his own business, playing his game. Zest not going to let him do that. He pushes out now that Blink is completed.
Yeah, I wonder what he can find with this Blink. He's definitely going to try to keep Hush on his side of the map. You know, always threaten the third base, maybe even try to pick off some of the probes. Does see this army moving over here now with his own pylon, so he shouldn't blink right on that army just now, but he is going to pick off that probe, and again, every, you know, bit of seconds, any bit of time that you can gain in StarCraft is always great, so picking off that probe, delaying the third base for quite a while here, actually.
Now, our observer just pointed out that the +1 weapons upgrade is a little faster for Zest. So if he can hit right as that completes, that could be you know, something that will really swing this fight in his favor basically forever, especially if, you know, overcharge energy is pretty low by that point in time. Maybe there aren't a lot of Immortals out. All things you have to keep in mind. But there's going to be a very narrow window here for Zest with that attack upgrade that could turn things in his favor.
See what he can do. He's morphing in, or warping in rather. Basically only Stalkers. He's getting charged now, and it looks like he wants to take his third base. So this is what he's trying to do with the map control. Keep Hush in his base, get an earlier third Nexus, and just get a small advantage like that with this Blink.
But with double Immortal and a Void Ray in the air, like, there's not a whole way to push through that. A whole lot of ways to push through that with just a Blink Stalker army. So he can try to be cute and get his control to work for him there, but I don't think he'll be able to defend or to break the defense of Hush. So next thrown down on both sides as these players realize that for once, Valdez, we're going into a macro game.
It's happening. We're doing it. And Zest, so far, he's basically going only Zealot Stalker. Kind of a funny mid-game transition. He's been making somewhat consistent Immortals, as he does have 2 in his army, and everybody's just going to get all the techs now. So all the Twilight tech, the Templar Archives, get your Archons out.
Yep.
Eventually transition into Air Toss.
I don't know about the Air Toss transition. I mean, we already had a little bit of that with the Oracles and the Void Ray, but none of that's really made that much of a difference. I think we could see, you know, that thing that happens in ZVZ where both players, neither player can find a way to tech up, so they just go Infinity Roaches versus each other. Mm-hmm. We might have that same thing with Protoss here, although it would be a little bit rarer to see that. Could just have massive Stalker battles with some Zealots thrown in to pressing them backwards. Have to keep an eye on exactly which route they're going, although you were right about the Archons.
Yeah, Archons for days. Seems like Zest has a bit more gas saved up, although it just looks like Hush is not spending it just yet. Maybe his warp-in's a little bit off cooldown. And he's even keeping one of these High Templar with his army. Maybe there's not a buddy for that. Yeah.
Which Zealot wins? We'll never know. I guess we can find out.
The Braver Zealot, of course.
Obviously. But Brave means that you attack twice in one swing.
Yeah.
All right.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's Fire Emblem.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, the defense has been good so far here for
Look
Hush.
at the Immortal count.
But yeah, that is really what's going to be the toughest to break through. Now, I mean, Immortals versus Archons is not necessarily that great, so it should be up to both players to control. And honestly, ideal compositions for Protoss lately have just been Immortal Archon. You obviously want to have some meat units in there, like you know, the Sentries for the shield, the Zealots to run forward and tank. But look at this. Some cheeky Immortals getting in there, dropping them into the mineral line, taking out a few probes, and forcing that now very slow Warp Prism to come back.
He's going to keep his Void Ray over there for now. It's like a mini Liberator that just dropped down in his natural, so he can obviously hold that off. But yeah, the Immortals are not so good against the Archons. I mean, they're still good to have in general in your army composition. I feel like Zest, his Blink has kind of ran out, and there's no real transition for him. I mean, he's, as you were saying before, as you were expecting, he's kind of just making a bunch of Zealots, a bunch of Stalkers, and Archons and Immortals, and that's about it. Whereas Hush, he has a later game in mind. He's not transitioning into Air Toss, but he got a Fleet Beacon just for the Mothership.
So that's really interesting to see the mothership, and one of the things that's so intriguing about that is that sometimes you can go for like a surprise mothership, which would be a little bit of an earlier timing here. Then you roll up, you take out your opponent's observers, and then they can't really do anything. So luckily for Zest, his observer control has been pretty good, not only to get vision, but to keep him back and safe when he needs to. I'm not sure if he knows quite about the mothership just yet. Will he have seen the fleet beacon? No.
No, I don't think he knows right now. It's still morphing somewhere in the back of Hush's base. And there's a gigantic warp in along with 2 of these Immortals. So Zest committing heavily. He wants to draw the forces of Hush away. And can he do just that? It looks like Depths versus Zealots, and that mothership is going to come in handy. Really nicely done, but Zest going for the attack of the 4th base.
Yeah, engaging here while Hush's attention has been split there. Nexus stays alive, but loses all of its shield, and they still have not cleaned up this damage in the main. Now finally being able to take out that drop, but now it's up to Hush. Can he defend? It looks like his Nexus will inevitably fall. Archon versus Archon, the psionic battle waging in the front lines. Finally the mothership coming to turn the tide.
What happened to the observers of Zest? There's only one. It's over here at the 3rd base. Kind of unfortunate. Tons of damage, though. 21 probes in total. And Hush's economy, not in a great spot. His army, pretty damn good. He's going to have to move across the map right now and try to punish Zest here with this mothership.
I think Zest might have done it, Valdez. He dealt crazy economic damage. He's now pulled back into a defensive spot. His army is a little bit smaller, but he will have overcharge and good defensive immortal positioning here too. I think he's actually going to be in a great spot as long as he can control his observers well enough to prevent this mothership cloaking from being relevant.
Hush really needs some Archons, too, to deal with all these charge lines. Look at how many there are in the front. They can tank for days. And you can see Zest is just trying to overpower this army. Really nice pickups on the Immortals there by Hush to save them in the back. But there's just so much stuff here for Zest.
Yeah, big warp and then great observer control there from Zest allows him to see everything under this mothership. Might even be able to focus it down here. Mothership Core just coming along for the ride as everything gets F2'd right into Hush's army. The recall comes out, but saves barely anything. Look at the discrepancy there. Far fewer workers there for Zest and a smaller army as well.
Yeah, as I predicted, the Immortals, or rather the Zealots, were the real problem for Hush. Even at the end of the battle, Zest was still going Zealot versus Immortal, which is always fantastic in this matchup. And Hush just trying to go on the counterattack, didn't have enough gas to make enough Archons, and it looks like that might be the end of this one. Zest really trying to swing it home.
I mean, Cloak is pretty good, Valdez, but I mean, there's observer control is better. Look at Zest.
Observers.
He's just cranking out the observers one at a time. He'll even be able to take out Hush's units as they're warping in. I think this is going to do it. He's going to lose the mothership here, and as that falls, so does Hush. Zest takes a 2-1 victory for the Red Protoss.
Well, it seems like today, on this day, July 15th, Zest is in fact best. He finally, he won a series. Better. It was a really close one. Hush almost beat him. That almost happened, and
I think the phrase
that was kind of scary, but
Zest is
won.
Better, not Zest is best.
He's best for today because he won.
Well, okay, yeah, but best is a superlative. Okay, anyway, Zest did take his first victory of SSL Challenge, and a very well-needed victory for fans who really just need to see him sort of turn that career around. I always hate to say that players are in slumps. A lot of people wanted to say Byun was in a slump after winning BlizzCon, but he definitely did dip down there a little bit, but was never objectively terrible.
It was just funny the way you phrased that. Well, after BlizzCon, he was in a slump.
Well, that's what people were saying. I'm like, guys, give it a chance.
Kind of ridiculous.
Some days he would show up, some days he would not show up. But for Zest, I think it's been a downhill battle for a long time. So nice to see him pick up a victory here tonight. Granted, it was against Hush, not necessarily the strongest player in SSL Challenge, but I mean, you stack up enough wins, you get to a place like Bunny, who's crushing it right now, 3-0. So really impressive games here tonight, guys. If you guys had a favorite, make sure to tweet it at us using the hashtag SSL. You can tweet at RapidCasting, at Brendan Valdez, or at SpoTV_games_EN. That's the Twitter.
Is this SpoTV Games_EN?
I think it's got Twitter, but you could be correct. We'll check out on that while we get a quick recap of tonight's games. It is Bunny taking the win over Sue, Rogue winning his match, and then, of course, our matches there following out to give us this final score overview with Bunny crushing it. 3 wins, 0 losses. On the other side, Byun also lossless.
Yeah, all the Terrans on top here so far. It's still early. By the way, you were correct, Rapid. It is supposed to be _games_EM.
Yeah, doubling down with the underscores, man. But yeah, we had some pretty good games. Nice to see that meme series delivering between SOS and Jockg. But here's a look at the games coming up. And keep in mind that this SSL Challenge will not be played for 3 additional weeks. So that's way out there. Way out there. Yeah, so the next games coming up will be for Premier. It's Hero versus Solar, Alive versus Stats, Maru versus Viol, Innovation versus Dark, and Deer taking on Classic.
Bunch of cool matchups there. Like the Hero versus Solar, obviously Innovation always.
Oh, Innovation Dark. That's going to be an insane series. I just cannot wait to watch that. It's TVZ, but it's also a guy that doesn't play that abusive Reaper style like Byun wants to do.
He just kills him. He's like, I don't need to use this. I can just beat you straight up, so whatever. Yeah. It's basically like another challenger to Innovation. That's the way it feels. It's like, who's next? Who's going to get 2-0'd next?
Yeah.
Because Dark did get 2-0'd by Innovation in season number 1, so hopefully he can at least take a win. Maybe someone can take 1 game off of this guy. That would be nice to see.
I mean, I hope so. Innovation has just looked extraordinary this season. So really kind of taking all comers. And next up, it's going to be Dark, and that'll be on Monday. So you don't want to miss SSL Premier there. Not sure exactly if WCS Valencia is over just yet, but if it's not, go watch that. Otherwise, we've got a lot of great StarCraft coming up. We had SSL today. We've got GSL coming up again next week. And then I believe we also have a bunch of global tournaments with things like Home Story Cup, IEM Shanghai, and the GSL versus the World kind of super tournament vibe coming up as well. So it's never been a better time to watch StarCraft.
July and August are always good for a lot of these different tournaments. You know, Home Story Cup, the Shanghai tournament. That was the one I went to last year where I almost got heat stroke while waiting outside. Those pictures are still out there somewhere on Roddy's Twitter. He retweeted someone where I had my jeans around my head like a turban, trying to just cover my head so I didn't get heat stroke. My shirt was covered in sweat. You've never seen this picture?
No, I saw it. I remember it. It's a little bit old school. It was bad. It's getting pretty hot out here, guys. I just got back from the beach where it was pretty hot, and then, you had to cast. I just got back, and I had to cast. So, it's pretty hot out here, but the game's been even hotter, so thanks for tuning in for our games here tonight. We'd love to hear from you guys, so make sure to hit us up on Twitter and tune in once again for SSL on Monday. This game should be super good. So while our Korean caster's taking an inordinately long time to close out tonight's matches, I'm just really looking forward to catching up on the Valencia games after this, seeing how those all panned out. Might be in time for the finals if we get out of here pretty quick. I don't know.
Yeah, we might catch Game 7 if it is going to a Game 7.
We're just surmising.
We don't really know.
We've been out of the loop for a little bit. It's like, they're not even watching WCS. We're literally casting, guys. Hold on a little bit.
This is going to be that one guy on Twitter like, oh my God, there's no passion. What, they don't know what's going on. They're not checking their phones. It was 1-1.
We just have this stream of Valencia over here, and we're giving updates for both games. I don't know.
That would be fun.
Well, that's going to do it for
cast those games at the same time. We're like, by the way, update. There's an attack going on, and
that would be truly hard mode.
And oh, by the way, in a real game, Roaches versus Roaches.
We cast 2 games at the same time. We could be like those poker players that have 18 different windows up and just casting every game of StarCraft all at once. Oh. That's the hard mode.
18 different tables at the same time. They're just, it's like they're, it's like that GIF with all the algorithms floating around that guy's head from Hangover, right?
Yeah. Well played. Hangover. Or was it from Numbers or something? I forget.
I think it was from when that guy, acted by that guy, goes to the casino and wins a bunch of money.
You're correct. All right, we've stalled for long enough, guys. We're about to head out of here.
The music started playing.
Once again, don't forget there will be no SSL Challenge next week or for the 2 weeks following that. We'll be back on, I think, August 14th.
12th.
12th, yeah, August 12th. So it'll be quite a while till you see us back here again for SSL Challenge. But SSL Premier will be back on Monday.
They're going to cast with me.
Yeah, and so we'll be back for that. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back on Monday. Have a good night.